This is Clear Politics. Hello, Germany is breaking records for violent crime. Once a peaceful country and a model for greater Europe, it is now turning into a very dangerous place. The main source of unrest is illegal migrants. North Rhine. A refugee from Syria attacked bar patrons with a knife. Hamburg. Latin Americans started a bloody brawl. Göppingen. Unknown assailants shot several men and fled by car. How did a migrant paradise become a criminal hell? We give you only facts. You draw your own conclusions.
Statistics show a sharp rise in violent crime. They beat me half to death and took my phone, my money, everything.
When I enter the subway, I have only one thought: save and protect me. Let me get there without any incidents.
Bild draws attention to the sharp increase in crime in the country.
Last year, there were more than 5.8 million cases. Of those, 217,000 involved violence. Juvenile crime increased by 11%. Even the capital is under threat. In Berlin, robberies, thefts, and sexual crimes have increased. This spring, Germany's Interior Ministry was forced to admit that violent crime nationwide reached a 15-year high.
Police counted over 217,000 violent crimes last year, a new high since 2010. In 2024, violent crime among minors rose especially sharply. The Interior Ministry reports an increase of over 11% among children and about 4% among teenagers.
Statistics show a sharp rise in violent crime. This worries us a lot. Public spaces are becoming more dangerous, so people are feeling more afraid.
Almost a third of all crimes are robberies. Again, Berlin and Bremen stand out, with nearly 15,000 violations per 100,000 people.
In Germany, a burglary happens every 6 minutes. The German Insurance Association shares these statistics. In 2024, about 90,000 thefts were registered in Germany, almost the same as the previous year. Sadly, the average loss increased to €3,800. Smartphones, cameras, and computers are especially popular with thieves. Criminals take anything that's easy to sell. In total, insurers had to pay out €350 million in compensation, 6% more than in 2023.
It's unsafe. Even just moving around the city or riding public transport can be risky. A Berlin resident's heartfelt cry sounds like this.
When I enter the subway, I have only one thought: save and protect me. Let me get there without incidents, without drugged, deranged, or aggressive people. At the very least, I hope no one relieves themselves in front of me. There are some areas of Berlin I prefer to avoid. I have to mentally prepare myself if I need to go to Cottbusser Tor or Hermannplatz. It's unsafe, dirty, and just disgusting. Well, the sun is gone now. Many love Berlin for its freedom, but freedom should have reasonable limits. What's happening in the city is truly frightening and confusing. Now I'm back in the sun. I love Berlin. It's my home. And it just hurts to see what's happening to Germany's capital. It feels like the city has lost control and can't get it back.
This new reality for Berliners is increasingly echoed on social media. Drug addicts are taking over this and other German cities. As you can see, they don't care about the law either.
It's dirty, disgusting, and dangerous here.
Crime, drug use, and aggression are rising in Germany's big cities. They beat me half to death and took my phone, my money, everything.
My son is 2 years old now. He finds heroin syringes here. If I don't stand next to him, he'll play with them.
Another anti-record made it into the shock statistics, as the media called it. According to the Federal Criminal Police Office, in 2024, Germany saw a record number of politically motivated crimes. Over 84,000, up 40% from the previous year.
People in Germany, I'm saying this for comparison, so people in Russia and Belarus can imagine, about 50%, just under half, are afraid to use public transport. I don't know about Minsk, but in Moscow and St. Petersburg, no one is afraid to ride the subway. And it's all because of these crimes which the police could actually do something about. But police are also afraid they'll be accused of being right-wing or racist, or of checking people just based on appearance. The problem isn't so much Germany's laws, it's the politics. Police are even afraid to check people who look Southern because they might be called racist.
The crime boom was already being recorded in 2024 compared to 2023. The number of reported cases was also rising rapidly then. Germans have simply become afraid to live in their own country. According to an INSA poll, every second German believed safety had declined in the past 5 years.
Exactly 45% of poll respondents for Bild said their sense of security had decreased by 25%. Or even significantly decreased, 20%. For 38%, nothing changed. Only 15% feel safer than 5 years ago. Most people, 41%, fear physical assault. Above all, people feel unsafe at train stations. According to the poll, 52% of respondents don't feel comfortable there.
The unprecedented rise in crime is largely linked to the influx of migrants. They are plunging German cities into their often unsightly world. Here's the harsh reality of Duisburg in Western Germany. Here, fists rule instead of laws, and the only thing German left is the name. Locals are outraged by the authorities' inaction.
Homes are turning to ruins, garbage isn't collected, jobs are disappearing, and integration measures are failing as migration grows. 85% of the city's residents have a migration background.
Only foreigners here, no integration, no laws, no regulations, just fists. Yes, that's how everything is settled here. There's nothing German left. Look. This is normal here, see? They used pepper spray on him. Look.
This is daily life in the Bruckhausen district. In the 1960s, miners' houses still stood here. They were demolished to make way for modern housing. Now, nothing modern is left, just a dump. In the last 7 years, the number of Romanians and Bulgarians on welfare in the city has doubled. In Marxloh, many residents have also had to leave their homes. All that's left are trash-filled yards and no political plan for the future.
In Bavaria, crime among foreigners rose by 40%, and in North Rhine-Westphalia by 35%. Overall, of more than 2 million suspects, almost half are not German citizens, and about 400,000 are seeking refugee status. At the end of last year, Compact magazine shared some telling statistics.
The number of crimes committed by Ukrainian refugees and migrants has risen in Germany. Last year, the number of migrant crime suspects increased by 25.1% compared to 2022. Ukrainians made up the largest share of migrant offenders. They also account for 33.1% of all refugees living in Germany. The report pays special attention to the rise in rapes and assaults. In 2023, migrants committed 8,800 such crimes, almost 1,300 more than in 2022. Most suspects are migrants from Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Ukraine, Eritrea, Turkey, Somalia, and Iran.
Currently, 150,000 people are wanted in Germany, and 88% of them are foreigners.
Bad thoughts usually come from idleness. According to the Federal Employment Agency, in 2024, migrants made up 33% of Germans suffering from long-term unemployment.
Now it's our problem.
We must lend a helping hand and protect those in danger. Everyone knows the situation in Syria and neighboring countries. Wealthy European countries must solve the refugee problem from conflict regions.
But it all started so optimistically. In 2015, Merkel announced an open-door policy for all illegal migrants. She said, "Come, we'll give you money and house everyone." No one planned to work in the system, nor were they asked to. Today, there are nearly 3 million employed in Germany. 972,000 are illegal migrants.
Local authorities are unhappy, for example, that many Ukrainians either can't or don't want to work. According to statistics, only 1 in 5 Ukrainian refugees has found a job.
Germans are patient, but public opinion changed dramatically after the Magdeburg terror attack in December 2024. A car plowed into a crowd at high speed. 6 people died, 235 were injured. The perpetrator was a Saudi Arabian named Talib.
It turned out the man came to Germany in 2006. 10 years later, he got refugee status. He worked as a psychiatrist in Bernburg and was even something of a celebrity. On his social media page with about 40,000 followers, he criticized Islam, supported Muslims who became atheists or Christians, and expressed sympathy for far-right groups.
Naturally, all this creates tension because these people end up as potential terrorists, and all recent attacks have had an Islamist context. They try not to classify them that way, but we see, for example, when a man drives at full speed into a Christian Christmas market. Many people are killed and injured. It's clear, yes, he's Muslim, yes, they classified him as mentally ill. But we see that many such attacks have an Islamist background.
Another high-profile, more recent attack, Hamburg. A woman with a knife attacked people in the main train station. 18 people were injured.
Hamburg's main station is one of Germany's busiest transport hubs. On Friday evenings, it's packed. Since October 1st, 2023, carrying weapons is banned around the station. Since December 2024, the city senate banned knives on public transport, but bans didn't stop the woman who turned a crowded place into a scene of violence. Mr. Schultz, in our country, there are 24 to 32 knife crimes every day, many end fatally. Parents stand at the graves of their children. They touch their child's hand for the last time. And this hand is cold. You don't have children. You can't imagine what that's like.
The police rushed to classify the case as secret. The nationality of the woman who carried out the attack was concealed. But the Germans reacted to the tragedy as if it were routine. Apparently, they're used to it.
At this point, unfortunately, we already have dozens of daily attacks on civilians, just for some ideological reasons, with shouts of Allahu Akbar or something similar. And you see, these are mostly people who, in theory, had their asylum claims rejected long ago and should have left Germany. They remained under so-called tolerated status. They weren't deported. But in fact, they should have left Germany a long time ago.
The Alternative for Germany party has regularly spoken about the rising crime among migrants. According to the party leadership, illegal immigrants are killing the country in every sense. AfD built its election campaign on this.
According to a Politbarometer poll, whose data is cited by the second German channel ZDF, 63% of respondents support deporting asylum seekers without entry documents, 56% support permanent border controls at Germany's borders, and 47% support detaining those subject to deportation.
As a result, AfD became the second strongest force in the Bundestag. Germans, especially in Bavaria, voted for the right-wing party after the attack in Aschaffenburg. There, migrants attacked a children's park.
A 28-year-old Afghan man stabbed a man to death in Chantal Park, then attacked it from a kindergarten. He killed a child, and only after that did the police manage to arrest him.
According to official German police data, knife attacks are the main crime scourge in Germany. The law on carrying and using knives has changed several times over the past 5 years, and it's all been pointless.
In popular places where crimes often occur, local authorities can declare a weapons-free zone. These zones are called Waffenverbotszone. They exist all over Germany. For example, in Frankfurt's Bahnhofsviertel, Hamburg's Reeperbahn, as well as Cottbusser Tor and Leopoldplatz in Berlin, the rules may differ slightly in different cities, but in these zones, carrying any type of knife is prohibited. If you need to take a knife with you, for example, for a picnic, make sure it's not dangerous and keep it in a safe place away from others.
The punishment is simple, from a $10,000 fine up to 3 years in prison. But even in schools, knife fights have become commonplace.
The number of the week is 4. That's how many knife attacks happen in Germany on school days. And in a year, according to police statistics, there were as many as 743. According to a police report, in all of Germany in 2024, there were 29,000 knife attacks recorded, most 27% in public places.
30 years ago, this phenomenon didn't even appear in crime statistics. Now there are more than 80 attacks a day. Can you imagine? That's a huge increase. And in most cases, it's migrants who, in any conflict, pull out a knife and use it. In many places, they're trying to introduce knife bans, but it's just a homeopathic remedy because bans don't scare anyone here. And unfortunately, such crimes now prevail.
The most dangerous places for life are Berlin, Frankfurt, Hanover, Leipzig, Magdeburg, and other areas with large migrant populations. Maybe it's a coincidence, but in practice, it's not. And the cover of Der Spiegel seems to ask rhetorical questions.
Are we safe? Crime scene, Germany. Return of violence, crime, knife attacks, robberies, beatings. The number of violent crimes is rising, and many people no longer feel safe. What's happening in this country?
Germany is increasingly on the front pages of the media with alarming and negative news. A country that was once a model for Europe and the world is now a pale shadow of its former self. A stagnating economy, declining living standards, crime, a migration crisis, and hawks in power who clearly haven't learned the lessons of war. Goodbye.